look crazy. So welcome back to my channel. So in this video I'm going to be taking out my twists. Today is Monday and Wednesday is wash day, and I usually like to let my twists like breathe for a little bit before I wash it, or just like to enjoy my twist out before I wash it. This video is about breakage versus shedding and tips to prevent breakage. Okay, so what is shedding? What is breakage? What is shedding? So start with shedding. Shedding is hair that has been let go from the scalp due to the hair cycle being over or the growth cycle ending. So as you may or may not know, hair in general has a growth cycle, meaning your hair all over your body has a growth cycle called I believe it's anagen, halogen. I honestly don't remember what they're called, but I will definitely have them linked. Basically, one of them is the cycle where your hair is growing, and your hair grows consistently for about 2 to 7 years, depending on, I guess, like your genes, or a lot of other factors might play into it, like birth control or like medications and things like that. And what supplement, like I know MSM can like prolong your growth cycle, but that's another topic for another day. But yeah, so shedding is due to your growth cycle ending. So your hair goes through a growth cycle, and then it has a resting phase where it doesn't do anything, where like it does not grow and it only lasts for like 2 weeks or so, and then your hair will let go of that hair, and that is what becomes shed hair. Okay, so you lose about an average of like 50 to 100 strands a day. Basically, for curly hair, you must detangle the hair to get the shed hair out. Now, if you notice, like not if you notice, but I've noticed on people with naturally straight hair, you will see like hair like laying on their back. Someone with straight hair, the hair can like easily slide out of their scalp, up through their hair, because there's nothing stopping it. It's literally just going down like a slide or something. Versus somebody with naturally curly hair, your hair will like let go of the hair, as in like your scalp will like release the hair because it's now shedding, but it might just sit in your hair for however long before you decide to detangle it. So yeah, you must detangle shed hair out to prevent breakage. You must detangle out shed hair to prevent tangles, which can lead to breakage. And also, how to recognize shed hair. You will basically know you'll have shed hair because there will basically be, it will be a full strand of hair, and however long your length is, and it'll have a bulb on the end. Usually, like, I notice when I have shed hair, like sometimes I'll like pull and hair will come out, and I'll pull the strand out, and you look on the end, one of the ends, so you have your end of your hair, and then you'll have the other end, and on one of the ends of your hair, there'll be like a little white bulb. It looks like a little oil pocket, or like it's like a little bulb of oil, and it's pretty much like your hair pulling it out of the root and it releasing itself, and that's how you recognize shed hair, so you know it's not breakage. So don't be alarmed. I actually had a client tell me that when they see long strands of hair, they think it's breakage and they freak out, I guess because it's longer, so it looks like more like crazy or drastic, like something's terrible going on with their hair. But honestly, the longer the strand is, not longer the strand is, but basically if it's a long piece of hair, it's more than likely a shed hair. And it's a good thing, because that's what your hair just naturally does, and it does that from the inside out. And it's a natural occurrence that your body does, not only on your head but everywhere. Your whole body, your hair on your entire body has a life cycle. I would say the hair on your entire body has like a shorter life cycle than the hair on your head. So it's completely normal. Okay, so breakage. Breakage happens from when the hair is not properly handled, and it can be from any kind of damage that the person or the host of the hair caused themselves. So for instance, coloring your hair, too much heat, misuse of tools, manhandling. And when I say manhandling, I mean like being rough, like just like ripping through your hair, like not taking your time, not being calm and nicely like spreading it apart, just like ripping through it. That is gonna cause breakage. And also which also goes in hand with not properly detangling. And you'll know breakage when you see it, because it will more than likely be shorter pieces of hair that are not as long as obviously like your hair. It could be like as short as this. It could be like this. It could be pretty much, it's like, you know, so let's say my hair, a whole strand of hair is this long, right? if a piece of hair comes out and it's only like this long, it's probably it is breakage. If it's like short, even no matter how short it is, if it's shorter than the strand of hair, is more than likely breakage. If it's a full strand of hair, just look on the ends of it and you'll see there's a bulb, and the bulb will let you know that it's shed hair. So breakage will have a split end on the end of it. So if you see breakage and you pick it up and you just look at it, they'll be like, sometimes it'll look like a thick strand and it'll slightly get thinner, or a thick strand and it'll split into two. Like, that's how you know it's breakage as well, because you know your ends are not healthy, and your hair is weak and is splitting off. You'll also know if your hair is like prone to breakage, meaning like you haven't experienced the breakage yet, but it's about to break. If like your hair doesn't have a lot of elasticity. So for instance, if I take one of my hairs like this, stretch it out and let go, it just bounces right back. If I hold it out and it kind of just like does this, like it kind of just like it doesn't have a lot of elasticity, so it doesn't have a lot of strength in it to bounce back to its natural texture, it's more than likely prone to breakage. Dry hair is prone to breakage. It will snap. Even hair that's still touching your head and you look at it and it has split ends, or ends that are like splitting off, and sometimes they're like in the like shaft of your hair. So, like, a lot of people think that split ends are only on the very ends. No, sometimes you can have split ends all throughout the shaft, or like in random places on the shaft, and you know your hair is prone to breakage because your hair is going to snap at that point, because it's the pretty much like almost like the point of demarcation. Like, it's a weak spot, and so anytime you like comb it like too hard or flat iron it too much, it will just break right there and it'll break off, and that's where breakage is, and that's when you see those little short pieces of hair on the floor. Breakage is also not a natural occurrence. It's pretty preventable if you know how to take care of your hair, or you know the proper steps to prevent it, and manage your hair in a proper way. So a good way to prevent breakage, I'm just talking about how to prevent breakage, because if you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy. You just have to be consistent. So you can prevent breakage by properly moisturizing your hair, and a good way to, in my opinion, to properly moisture your hair is the Loc Method. Some people do the LOC, but I prefer the LCO, which is like liquid, leave-in, oil, cream, and then oil. So I always use some type of liquid, leave-in, liquid meaning water, and then cream would usually be my leave-in, which is my moisturizer, and then my oil, which is my butter oil mix. And that is how I properly take care of moisture when I'm styling or doing my hair before styling. That is how I keep my hair from getting weak and thin, brittle, dry, which leads to breakage. It also leads like to the proper balance of moisture and protein. So I don't really need a whole lot of protein, mostly because my hair is completely virgin. It's I don't put any type of chemicals in my hair or anything like that. So the only time I use protein in my hair to balance my hair is when I straighten. So that is my way of maintaining the proper strength in my hair, and I only do that like every 3 months. And I use a very lightweight protein conditioner, so it's not too strong, like stressful or harsh. Like for instance, like Afro-G two-step deep condition. Afro-G's two-step protein treatment is like kind of harsh. It's more so for people who have damaged hair, like bleached hair, color treated hair, relaxed hair, stuff like that, or like heat damaged hair or whatever. But I don't have that, so I just use a protein conditioner, which is enough to coat my hair with protein so that when I do straighten my hair, it's not getting dry and brittle and breaking. Also, properly detangled. I notice a lot of people's problems is not properly detangling. For example, your hair, like I said, will, let's say, let go of a strand of hair because it is time for the cycle to end, and it will just sit in your hair because your hair is curly, so it can't just like fall out, because it has so many waves and kinks and coils to go around first before it can leave your head. So that's why we have to detangle. So people who don't detangle, their hair gets stuck in their hair and your hair continues to shed. So you just have this backup of shedding and it just staying in your hair, which can cause it to lock, which can cause it to wrap around the hair and cause knots, which can cause it to weave into around strands and cause the hair to get weak and split. So and obviously if your hair dreads up, you're gonna have to comb that out, which is a very vigorous process, which can cause breakage. Or it could cause breakage because it's locked, leads back into locking, because it's making knots around your head. It's not, you can't easily just like comb it out. It's literally a knot which you have to like figure out how to get out, and if you have too many of them, a lot of people get overwhelmed and will rip through them and cause breakage. Also leads to a proper detangling conditioner. So I like to use Aussie Moist for Detangler. So Aussie Moist does have silicones in it. Silicones are only bad for people who don't shampoo their hair. I have low porosity hair, which means that I am prone to build up, so I shampoo my hair every time I wash it, but I always put the moisture right back in, so I don't have a problem with silicones in my hair, because it's not causing any kind of buildup, because I'm removing that buildup. So I use Aussie Moist because it has a lot of slip in it, and the slip allows me to easily glide through my hair, feel the tangles, and easily allow the tangles to slide out of itself, so it's not dry and pulling and causing knots. You never like make a knot on a thread, and because the thread is like dry, it like tightens, or even like when you tie a bag together, if you do it too tight, it's like it tightens up and there's like almost no way to get it out. But like when you use like some type of slip, something with slip or like moisture, it makes it smooth and it allows it to come out of that knot a lot easier. So I recommend detangling conditioners that have silicones in it because they allow a lot of slip. Also too, a lot of my products are slippery, like the Mixed Chicks leave-in conditioner has a lot of slip in it. Kinky Curly Curling Custard Gel has a lot of slip in it, so it makes my hair very slippery, so that knots can't just lock in on my hair. Being gentle obviously is a given. Like, you want to be gentle with your hair. You do not want to like rip through your hair. You want to take your time. Also, do not try to like do your hair when you're angry. Do not detangle when you're angry, like, or anxious. Like, I'm an anxious person, and sometimes like I'll like, if I have something to do at 4 and I'm doing my hair at 3 and I know it won't be done till 4:30, I'll be like, oh, trying to get through it. And if that's the case, then I need to just find a quick style to do for the moment. Do what I need to do at 4 o'clock, and then come back to my hair after it's over, versus trying to like rush through it, because you're more prone to rip through your hair, not take your time, and cause breakage. Don't overuse chemicals and thermal processes. I would honestly say don't use chemicals at all. Obviously some people like to do demi-permanents or whatever, which are not crazy bad, but I honestly don't think you should just use a rinse. Like, if you're gonna dye your hair, just use a rinse. Going lighter, I mean, it's a risk. Honestly, you're just more prone to breakage if you like dye your hair. It's just what it is, and no matter if you go darker or lighter, to be honest, and I've tried both, and yeah, I've gotten breakage from both. So yeah, also thermal processes. I mean, I found a way to straighten my hair without getting any kind of heat damage. I'm pretty sure there's still some kind of like resistance with that anyway, because it's still heat nonetheless, but there's ways to like help it not to get heat damage, like protein treatments, and not using as much heat, allowing your hair to fully dry before you straighten, and things like that. So that's a good way to prevent breakage. Don't leave protective styles in too long. Sometimes people like to leave their cornrows in for 3 months because I got wigs and weaves. When you take those wigs and weaves out, you have all this new growth, like 1.5 inches of new growth, that you gotta detangle through, because it's new hair that has never been detangled. It's dry, it's not moisturized because you've never moisturized it, it's fresh from out the scalp, and you can cause a lot more breakage just from trying to protective style because you haven't combed through it. So I would suggest not leaving your protective styles in longer than 6 weeks, 8 weeks tops. Longer than that, it's like, no, you've already reached 1 inch of new growth that you need to comb through, and like, your hair is natural. It's not like it's straight, so you really gotta like take your time with it, and it's your whole head. So yeah, don't do it to yourself. So last but not least, you know me, do not skimp on the trim. Trim your ends. Your ends are the oldest part of your hair, and they've endured the most rigorous, you know, pulling and tugging and whatever. You have to trim them off. Like, you know, it's better to just go ahead and do it at the 3-month mark, where split ends are going to start. Like, it is a fact that split ends start after 12 weeks. You have to trim it. Well, I like to trim at the 3-month mark, so I prevent split ends. So I'm like, all right, all I gotta cut off is this much. Doop, it's gone. Versus waiting like 6 months or a year and I have like this much because it's split. It continues. Once it splits, it will just keep going and going and going faster and faster and faster until you cut it off. So yeah, like right now my hair has grown so much in the last 6 months since my big chop. So, you know, I trim my hair every 3 months, and my ends are so thick because they're not split, they're not thin, and because I trim. So trimming definitely helps keep away breakage, and seeing split ends in your hair just go ahead and cut it off, because if you leave it there, your hair will continue to split, continue to break off because it's weak. It's like using both hands versus one hand. You're going to be stronger with both hands than just one hand. You're more likely to break your arm with one hand versus if you use two hands, kind of thing. So yeah. Also, the last thing I forgot to add is satin. You want to sleep on satin pillowcases, have a satin scarf on, have a satin bonnet on before you sleep, because you do not want to rub your hair, because the friction causes breakage. Also, from rubbing on your clothes with your scarves in the winter, it can cause friction and breakage. I like to put satin scarves around my scarves to prevent breakage on my nape. I hope you learned a lot about shedding and breaking, and I hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.